What's going on? Welcome to the LESHHHGO podcast. My name's Spencer, and if you don't know already, I'm talking a little bit about my journey. Obviously, I'm doing these solo podcasts at the moment just to give you a better idea of who I am from the session that I used to be and giving you my whole journey, my whole story to where I am now, and that is teetotal. I am currently sober at the moment. I've been over a year off drugs and around about 8 months off alcohol. Will I be jumping on the drugs ever again? Definitely not. Will I be jumping on the alcohol again? I don't know. When I decided to come off the alcohol, it was just got to a point where I was just like, right, that's it, I've had enough. So I kind of flowed away from it now. But right now, if you've already watched the previous episode, if not, go watch it before, just so you get a better understanding of where I was currently at this point in my life. I was talking about Ibiza. And when I got home from Ibiza at 4 o'clock in the morning, I was sitting on my mum's sofa and I was just like, right, what do I do? And what I did was brought a flight to Asia, like anyone else would. You know what I mean? Like, you're sitting there at 4 o'clock in the morning, like, I've got a bit of cash. I don't want to stay in the UK anymore. I definitely didn't want to stay in the UK. So I decided to just book a flight and get out of there. Okay. So I think I came home from Ibiza around about £4,500 at that time. But obviously I was at home for 3 weeks, so I spent a bit of money being home, and then obviously I spent money on the flights as well. So I ended up going Asia with £2,000, which in my head, I thought I'd be able to travel Asia for around about 3 months on that money. How I was sadly mistaken. See, the thing is, with me, what I did was, like anyone would as well, when they go traveling, they're like, right, I want to go here, I want to go there, I want to go here. And you do your revision, you do your due diligence at the end of the day. Due diligence? I can't even fucking pronounce it. You revise on what you're going to do, and you're going to revise on how much money you're going to spend. And obviously, me being 19, young and naive, and not really having any idea, I thought, oh, I'll be able to do it on 2,000 for 3 months. But once I got to Thailand, I was sadly mistaken. Like, as soon as I got there, I realised that it wouldn't be a 3 month trip, which was a bit sad, to be honest with you. But before going there, I was feeling like it was a lot different feeling compared to when I was going away to Ibiza. So when I was going away to Ibiza, I had stability there. I had my job there. I had an apartment that was paid for. I also was getting money coming in every month, and plus I had food paid for as well. So I had everything sorted in Ibiza. This time round, going out to Thailand and going out to Vietnam, it was a different ball game. It was a totally different ball game for me because I didn't have none of that. I just had a bit of cash on there. I didn't have no hostels and no hotels booked. I didn't have really no plan. I had a bit of an idea where I wanted to go and what direction I wanted to go in, but I didn't really have any stability. It was like literally being out by myself and had an ultimate amount of freedom. You know what I mean? But having that ultimate amount of freedom also came with me not being able to come home, because it's not just a 2 hour flight like it was for Ibiza. This took me around about 19 hours to get to Thailand, if you know what I mean. So it was a long old flight. But yeah, when I got to Thailand, it was a rude awakening. As soon as I got there, it was, like I say, I was a bit nervous, excited, ready to get there. But as soon as I got there, I realised I am literally alone at this point, and I've got no one else around there. I was super jet lagged. It was super, super bad. And I remember the first day of me being there, and because I ended up damaging my phone in Ibiza, I had to borrow someone else's phone, one of family friends or family's phone. So I had a shitty little iPhone, but this iPhone didn't have no GPS on it. I didn't have no SIM card, no GPS. And this is when Wi-Fi weren't really it was a big thing, but it wasn't in every internet cafe. It wasn't in every cafe. It wasn't in every shopping place. So I had to basically eyeball everywhere I was going because I didn't have no GPS and I didn't have no signal. So I remember the first time being out in Thailand, I went on a little walk, took myself on a walk, thought I knew where I was. How I was sadly mistaken. Oh my God, it was an absolute nightmare. I ended up walking for around about an hour and ended up getting myself lost, and I couldn't find my hostel for at least another 3 hours. It was a nightmare. And that's one of the things you get when you go solo traveling. You learn so much about yourself, and you learn so much. You have to be quick to learn things, and there's so much growth in traveling by yourself. And I mean, for me, after that, I did that, I realised I was in for, like I said, a rude awakening. So I needed to make sure I was on point with everything that I was doing. Like I say, I ended up learning a lot about directions and that lot when I was out traveling in Asia on that first time out. But how I usually did it with my Asia trip, the first time I went down to Koh Phi Phi. So I went down to the PP Islands, went down to the islands and that. Like, I wanted to go see my cousin who was from Australia, and went to do the PP Islands. I did the Koh Phangan, the full moon party. Then I did the jungle rave as well the night before, which is incredible. I 100% recommend it for anyone who wants to go do it. Make sure you do, because it is some experience. And from there, I ended up going up north. So I went up north, and when I got up north, I went to Chiang Mai, and in Chiang Mai, I ended up doing the elephant sanctuary. I don't know if anyone's heard of it, or obviously I think more than everyone has heard of it. Sorry. Obviously you go in and you see the elephants and you can bathe them and obviously give them a bath and things like that. And that is, like I say, when I was 19 years old, that was one of the best experiences I've done in my life. It was incredible. I couldn't compare it to anything at that stage in my life. And I was absolutely loving it out there. And then I decided to go up to Pai, and I ended up meeting a decent group of people, and a very nice, decent group of people, and we all started cracking on with each other. And at this point, I was slowly realising that this 3-month trip wasn't going to be a 3-month trip. Like, it was hitting me kind of hard, because I realised I was kind of scrimping and saving on certain things, and I wouldn't go out to eat at certain places, and it was just, it was a tough time. I mean, like, I really wanted to go and do certain things, but I couldn't do it because I didn't have the funds to do it. Do you know what I mean? So it was a tough one for me at this stage. But when I got to this place called Pai, I was only meant to spend 2 days there, and I ended up staying there for like 2 weeks. It was bliss. The place was incredible. When the time I got there, it only had like 3 or 4 hostels, and it was just, it was experience. I mean, experience in a way is like not like anything wow or anything like that. It was just chill. It was like super chill, kick back, and I really realised that I could live that kind of lifestyle for a very long time, and which I did. I say 2 weeks. 2 weeks is a long time, saying as you was only meant to be there for 2 days. I met a great group of people as well, and ended up enjoying myself there. But the way that I did Thailand the first time round, or Asia the first time I went there, it was a bit funny, to be honest with you. So I went down south, and then I went up north, and then after I was in Pai, I decided to go all the way down to Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam. See, the way that people usually do it is they'll go into Bangkok and they'll travel up, and then they'll travel round to Laos, Vietnam, top of Vietnam, and then travel all the way down, and then come into Cambodia, and then go back into Thailand to do all the islands. Me, I did the complete opposite of that. I mean, no one could tell me any different. You know what I mean? I was solo traveling. And that's the thing with solo traveling. I think you don't have no one telling you what you can and can't do. You can go do whatever you want. If you want to go stay in a place for 14 days, you can go do it. If you wanted to take a different direction than what everyone else did, you can go do it, because you are by yourself. And that's what I liked about solo traveling. And compared to the people that were in groups or going with their friends and that lot, say if something happened to a certain someone, then they couldn't do it because they had a tie still. They had someone with them. When you're solo traveling, it's complete freedom. And I mean, even when I was in Pai as well, and I think I've touched on this story before in one of the previous podcasts, but I got really, really ill. And I mean, I got so bad, it was a shit show, basically. And I mean, literally. I went to one of the Thai curry places in Pai, got myself a green Thai curry, I'd never forget it. And I've had this curry, and then I've ended up like feeling really, really bad, like real bad, like food poisoning bad. I was like, oh my God. And within the hour, I went bed, and I ended up spewing up everywhere. I was spewing up all in the toilets. I was hugging the toilet for about 3-4 hours. Took myself back to bed because I thought I felt all right. And then I've woke up in the middle of the night, and I shit you not, and I mean literally, I shit you not, I had shit on the back of my neck. I don't know how it got there. I don't know who put it there, but it was there. Do you know what I mean? I was like, this cannot be my life right now. I was in the middle of nowhere in Pai, and I was in this dorm. It was like a 24-man dorm, so there's 24 heads in there sleeping, and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm feeling ill as, vulnerable as, shit on the top of my neck, and I've just came out of that bar, and I was just spewing up everywhere. I was like, oh my God, is this my life? And that was a tough old night. That was a bloody tough old night. But anyway, I overcame that and ended up going down to Ho Chi Minh after that. But Pai is other than the fucking shit on the top of the net, Pai is a fucking amazing place. But yeah, then I ended up going down to Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam. And Vietnam, if anyone's thinking about going to Vietnam, be sure to do it, because Vietnam is an incredible country for the culture. It's a super cheap place to go to. There's so much stuff to see as well. And there's so much history behind it as well. So if you're ever thinking about going anywhere, traveling, Vietnam is a really, really good spot. I've been 3 times, and yeah, I had a great time every time I've gone, and it's been super, super cheap as well. But the first time I went there, I decided to do this. It's like canyoneering, but it was canyoneering and abseiling down waterfalls. And I remember abseiling down like a 25-meter waterfall. It was the craziest experience I've ever had in my life. And they let you go halfway down it, and then they tell you to kick your legs back and jump off, and then you just let go and you drop down into the waterfall. It was, yeah, a mad experience. I don't know if they've still got it there. Rumour has it they've actually packed it up because of health and safety and shit, but I got to experience it, and it was something else. Abseiling down the waterfall, and they had this other one that you go in, and it's like a washing machine. So you abseil down, and it catches you. The waterfall catches you, and you're literally just spinning around in circles. It was yeah, a crazy, crazy experience. But that trip for me, obviously, when I was getting around to Pai, and then when I got to Vietnam, I only spent like 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks in Vietnam, and I realised that I was scrimping and saving so much to do so much things. Like I wouldn't go out to certain things. I wouldn't eat at certain places. I was like, is this really what I want? Do I want to scrimp and save and be able to keep myself out there for another week? Or do I want to enjoy myself for the last week and just spend my money? And that's what I ended up doing. So I ended up coming home around about New Year's time it was. And yeah, New Year's I came home. And I was literally like to my friend, I was like, I can't be asked to stay here. He did previously do a season in Napa. I was like, I can't be asked to stay here. It racks my head thinking I've got to stay here for the rest of the winter, and going into summer I've got nothing planned. And he was like, well, I'm going back out to Napa if you want to come. And he worked for a company called Club 100, and he said he might be able to get me a job at either selling tickets or coming to work for the company. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's go, let's do it. Do you know what I mean? So I ended up going Napa that year. So I got home in January and I left again in April, and we went to Napa, and I lived there for around about 4 months. I did 2 seasons there. In total, I probably lived there about 8 months. But the first season I went there, it was bloody crazy. So my mate ended up getting me a job selling tickets, which I did here and there. Didn't earn too much money, just enough to survive basically. And then he got me a job working for the Club 100 company and the event, sorry. And with this package, what you got, it was the best package I've ever heard in my life. You get a pool party for free. You get a beach party. Well, it's not for free. A pool party, a beach party, a street party, and a boat party, plus entrances to all the clubs in Napa for like €100. It was a joke. And plus you got, that paid for your tickets, but also you got free drinks on on the boat party you got free drinks, on the beach party you got free drinks, champagne spray pool party you got a free bottle of champagne, and you got an hour free bar on the street party. So if any younger listeners are listening to this and they're thinking about going Napa, Club 100 is the go-to, you know what I mean? So, and I mean, in Napa, it was just, I feel like for me, going to Napa, it was just something to do. I mean, I've always been given advice, like, from my parents and from elders anyway, always telling me, like, go live your life, you're young, so go enjoy it while you're young. So, in my head, me going to travel the world and going out and getting fucked up and enjoying myself, that's what my enjoyment was. That was what my fun was. So, I went and gone and did that. I did that, and I didn't have no problem doing that as well. And so, that first season in Napa was incredible. We got to go, I think we were hitting up 8 boat parties a week at one point. We were going 8 boat parties a week, and then we'd finish the boat parties, and then we'd go to the beach party, we'd go to the pool party, and we were seeing like crazy acts. Like we'd see Skepta, we're seeing Gigs, AJ Tracer, name dropping to fuck here, by the way. Yeah, we're just seeing heaps and heaps of people, like so many good artists, and then we was all backstage for it, and it was a crazy, crazy experience. And then the next year I went there, the 2 lads who was running the events, like my mates and that, they weren't there anymore. So I got left to run the Club 100 events, so which was great. Like I got basically, when I got to see people, I had to give them all their stuff to obviously get into the events and that lot. And I also got to go to all the events again. And yeah, it was just one crazy experience. I mean, so when I was out in Napa, I almost got beat up by Gigs and his fucking entourage. It was the silliest, stupidest thing that I've ever done in my life. Like, so basically, this girl I was seeing at the time, she's seen Gigs at a place called Rio's. And if you've been Napa, you know about Rio's. And my missus asked for a picture with Gigs, which is fine. I ain't got a problem with that. And then she came up and ran. She was like, "Oh, Gigs is at Rio's. He just asked me for. I just asked him for a picture. Show me the picture." And I was steaming, and I mean steaming at this point. And I thought, what better thing to do than introduce myself to gigs by jumping on his back saying, what the fuck you taking a picture of a missus for? What a fucking sausage. I've ran up to him, jumped on his shoulders. His whole entourage jumped up like they were going to batter me. And I was like, oh my God. As soon as I jumped on him and his entourage jumped up, I jumped about 10 metres back. I was like, sorry, turned into a little bitch. And yeah, that's my story about being out in Napa. But yeah, I did 2 seasons in Napa. So from the ages of 20 to 22, I think I was out there. And then I came home from Napa, I had a bit of money saved, and I was like, right, what can I do? What do I really want to do? And I wanted to go volunteer more than anything. So I booked a flight to go to Tanzania to do some volunteering out there, and paid for the flights. And I was in contact with a company, and next thing you know, they kept asking me for money, and I was like, why does this place keep asking me for money all the time? And it got to the point they said, we need $2,500 off you in 6 weeks, else you can't do it. And this was only for like, I think it's 3 weeks worth of volunteering. I was like, that's heaps of money. I'm not going to do that. Like, I don't want to pay that much money. So I thought it was a little bit of a scam, but it's something I've always wanted to do still. It's still on the bucket list. I really do want to go do volunteering somewhere. I might actually have to look into that soon, maybe. But yeah, so I had a look. I was like, right, what can I do other than going volunteering? And I was like, right, I've still got unfinished business in Asia. I mean, I didn't go there with a lot of money. I was a bit immature. I wouldn't say I was immature, but I've done a lot of growing up since that trip. Do you know what I mean? So I thought, now's the right time to go Asia. So I ended up having a look at flights. I could get a flight to India, Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, Cambodia, Bali, Singapore and Bali, and then to Australia for like, I think it was £1,100. And I was like, oh, let's go. So I ended up booking them flights, went to India, and I shit you not, India, it's one of the craziest countries I've been to. It's just so busy. There's so many people there. The people are so friendly there as well. Obviously, there's bad people there, but there's so many kind, friendly people. Like, everyone was always asking us if we wanted lifts anywhere. We were hitchhiking here, there, and everywhere, jumping on the back of people's motorbikes. But also, on top of this, when I went to the gate of India, as soon as I got to India, this is the first bit of India I always remember. I got there to the gate of India, and I've jumped out this tuk-tuk, and I'm not even joking, I got surrounded like I was a celebrity. I had loads of people throwing me their babies to take pictures of them. Loads of people asking me for pictures. That was my first experience walking into India. It was so hot there as well. We went when it was like 40 degrees non-stop every day. You couldn't do anything until it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But India, if you're going there, you need to be spending longer than 4 weeks. I only spent 4 weeks there, and I definitely want to go back there because you can do so much more in that country. You could spend 6 months there and not even touch it. The food's incredible. The people are really, really nice. The scenes are even better. Super, super cheap. It is a dirty. I'm not going to lie, it is dirty. The Taj Mahal is up there with one of the best things I've ever seen in my life. How they sculpted that is incredible. And yeah, really, really good experience. Then from there, went back to Thailand. Really enjoyed Thailand. Then went over to Laos and Vietnam. In Vietnam, another good thing that I'm recommending you do, if you ever go to Vietnam, be sure to do the Ha Giang Loop. Ha Giang Loop is going to be one of the best things that you'll ever do. I promise you that right now. I have never seen sights like it. I've done it twice, and the first time I ever did it, we went for 4 days, 3 nights, and you could rent out a scooter, and you just on a motorbike, and you're just seeing these scenes that I've never seen. Like, the scenery is just, it's incredible, and I mean incredible. So if you ever think about going to Vietnam, be sure to do up north and do around the area up there. Ha Giang Loop, I'm telling you, it's the bollocks. It is the bollocks. And also on top of this, where else did I go? Another place. We went on a place called I went to a place called Castaways. So Castaways is a company that has like a little island in Halong Bay. I don't know if you've ever heard of Halong Bay. It's like where they have all the limestone everywhere. And we went there, and they literally have you on a boat for like the first day, and then they take you to an island, and you stay on this island, and you have your own private island for like 3 days, and it is literally just party non-stop. They bring you your food from the boat, they bring it onto the island, you're having food there every day, you're just drinking. And this is what I forgot as well. when I first got to India, the first ATM I put my card into, I ended up getting my card swallowed, so I didn't even have a fucking card for the whole of this trip. It was a nightmare, and I mean a nightmare. So basically, the way that I got money out is I had to go up and ask people, is it okay if I transfer you over some money and you withdraw me some money out? And this is back in the day. I say this is back in the day. This is like in 2015. No, that's a lie. This is like in 2017, this is. And it's not really, people ain't really savvy with their cards and that, like how they are now. Do you know what I mean? So me going up and asking a random, can I transfer you some money? They were looking at me like, no, you can't. And it was just a nightmare. I always had to get out like £200-300 at a time, just because I knew I weren't going to have money for a long time. And it was just a headache all the time. It was always a headache. But I ended up meeting on with a good group of people, to be honest with you, and they always sorted me out. And that's the thing with traveling as well. You can always meet on with different groups and meet different people. And if you don't really like a clique, you can always move on to another clique. Another reason why I always recommend going solo traveling, because like I say, the start of it's really tough, and you do have some really tough bits in the middle of it, but having the freedom of going to do what you want when you want, you can't compare it. Do you know what I mean? You cannot compare it. And like I say, there's so much room for personal growth there. Instead of you going with someone who you know from home, or a group of people you know from home, you can literally be who you want, and you find that as well. You feel a lot more free when you're traveling by yourself and you're not got anyone looking over your shoulder or anything. So yeah. What was I talking about? Where was I? So I was talking about obviously Vietnam and meeting a few people and doing the Ha Giang Loop, which was incredible. But after that, I ended up going to Bali. And in Bali was like, how do I explain Bali? Bali was, at this point, it was untouched. That's bullshit. It wasn't untouched. It wasn't as commercialized as what it is now, because I've been back a few more times since, and it's not commercialized as it weren't commercialized as it is now. And it was a good time there, to be honest with you. We ended up going to this place called Gili T. It's like a little island. I ended up living there for a little while, to be honest with you. And we went on this little island called Gili T, and you could bike around it in 30 minutes. But it's where literally the whole party scene usually happened, and that's all we did. We just partied non-stop, and that's what we did. And but one night I ended up coming home and ended up going to sleep. Obviously, I ended up going to sleep. And I woke up in the middle of the night, and we had like 3 beds in the room. 2 of the boys were in the other beds, and I thought they were coming home from a night out. And I was like, shut the fuck up, because there were glasses smashing everywhere. And I said to them in the middle of the night, when we woke up in the morning, I was like, what the fuck were you lot racketing about before? And they were like, we weren't. And then I've had a look, and all the walls, they've got like cracks from the bottom of the wall all the way up to the top of the walls. There was an earthquake that hit. I think the first earthquake that hit was like 4 on the Richter scale. And we couldn't get off the island for like, I think it was like 10 days we couldn't get off the island. It wasn't a bad place to be, but when that second one hit, it hit like 7.5, 8 on the Richter scale. And it was a bad place to be. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think there was a tsunami warning. It got sent through on the phone. So I had to ring my mum up. I said, Mum, listen, there's been a tsunami warning. I don't know what we're going to do. Just thought I'd let you know and give you a heads up and just let you know I'm okay. You know what she said? Listen, I'm just out on the piss at the minute. I'll give you a call back tomorrow. What? Are you taking the piss? I'm fucking telling you, I might not be here tomorrow. But yeah, no, she was obviously in the pub and that lot, and she couldn't hear me over the noise. But yeah, that's the phone call I had with my mum. But yeah, then forward on for that, we ended up getting off the island. I ended up going to Singapore. No, I ended up going to, I went to Singapore before that, sorry. I ended up going to Australia. And Australia was an incredible time. And I mean, I turned up to Australia the first time I got there, I had to really knuckle down. Obviously, it was a new place for me. I had to just get there. I only had $1,000 in my bank account, which is about £600. So I had to really focus on getting a job and getting some money back together before the summer started in Australia. So that's what I did. I literally just knuckled down. I was like, right, I'm going to work non-stop, and I'm going to get back into the gym. I'm going to get back into the routine. I'm going to get disciplined again, and I'm going to get myself into shape for the summer. And that was my goal, and that's what I did. But what I also did as well was make sure that I got myself an apartment, because I needed a bit of stability. I couldn't be obviously staying in the hostels non-stop, because there's a non-stop party there at the hostels anyway, especially at the weekends. And I really needed to save my coin. I really needed to save my money. And I ended up finding myself a little bit of an apartment. I tell you, an apartment, it was a room, and it weren't even a room, it was a boiler room. So I was staying in this boiler room, I didn't have no bed. It was my mattress was on pallets. The boiler used to go make a racket, and on top of that as well, there always used to be bloody possums outside my house, always going through the rubbish and shit. And they always used to make the way into my room and that. I'm like, fuck off, leave me alone, I'm trying to sleep. Always tapping on my window and that lot, see if I'm coming out to play. But yeah, they were nuisances. But yeah, it got to the point I started saving some good coin. I started getting in some decent shape. And then one of my boys from Leicester ended up coming over, Wardle. And my friend Jess was already over here already over in Australia, in Melbourne, by the way, which is an incredible place. Melbourne is up there with one of the best cities I've ever lived in. I put it on par with Ibiza for the music scene. The culture behind Melbourne, I love everything about it. The backpackers there, the vibe there, everyone is just super friendly, and it's a good time there in Melbourne, especially in the summertime as well when we were there. But yeah, I ended up finding an apartment for us three, me, Wardle, and Jess. And if you know me, Wardle, and Jess, you know for a fact we like to party and we like to have a good time. And that's where we was, and that's what stage I was at in my life. And obviously, them pair was as well. That apartment was a sesh apartment. It was just a party house. It's where we threw parties. We had afters there. Like I say, we used to love going down to the beach. We used to have the Sunday fun days. We used to have Sunday fun days. We used to go to the raves. We used to just go down to the beach and have bottles of wine and that. Like, it was just a good time. It was like I say, it was probably one of the best years of my life for having the fun and obviously being with your pals and being on the other side of the world, and no one can tell you nothing. You felt great. You know what I mean? Didn't really feel like you got come downs at that age as well. It was like just non-stop. We'd go to the gym throughout the week. We'd make sure we go to gym. We'd make sure that we're eating healthy, and then we'd go and party at the weekends. And that's what it was. But then it got down to like 5 months in, and at this time I'd only ever tried MD, pills, and weed. I tried a little bit of coke. Weren't really a fan of it. I don't really like coke, to be honest with you. Never have. But yeah, anyway, we ended up obviously going to this festival, and Wardle was like to me, he was like, listen, if you're going to try any drug for a festival, it's ketamine. And I was like, I don't really like ketamine. Like, I don't like the idea of not being in control of your own body and feeling all loppy and that lot. I just don't see, I didn't really get it, you know what I mean? I didn't really see the point of taking it. He was like, listen, at the festival, it's what you're going to take. You can't take pingers for fucking 4 days straight. I was like, all right, I'll try it. Tried it on the first day. Oh my fucking God. I was hooked on that quicker than anything. Oh my God. I literally had the best 4 days ever at the festival. But then when we came back from the festival, we had like another 3 weeks of literally just non-stop taking care. Like, we'd miss work and that lot just because we were getting fucked up on the care. And we realised it got to the point for us, if we didn't get out of Melbourne, it was coming into the winter time there, but if we didn't get out to Melbourne and do our farm work, we couldn't have another year in Australia. So we decided to go up north, and we went to a place in Queensland called Innisfail, which was a terrible place. I wouldn't recommend anyone going there. Stayed in a working hostel there, tried to get some work. We were only getting like 2-3 days a week. It was raining. It was like rainforest weather. It's tropical weather. So it'd rain for like 2 hours, then it'd be sunny and it'd be humid and it'd be horrible. And yeah, it was a shit show. It was an absolute shit show. Wardle ended up going back down to Melbourne after 3 weeks. I ended up going all the way up north to Darwin because I wanted to get a bit of sun, because I don't know what it is. I hate cold weather. I hate the rain. I hate shit weather. It just makes me feel shit. So I ended up getting out of there. Me and this lad called Sean, a quality lad from Manchester, from Wigan, ended up going up to Darwin, and we found the job in Mataranka, picking watermelons. And once I got there, like I say, you've heard me speak about it already. Once I got there, I was like, this is where I want to be. This is away from the drugs. This is away from alcohol. This is just in the middle of nowhere. It's 6 hours away from Darwin, 2 hours away from your nearest Tesco supermarket or whatever it is. And I was like, I could live here forever. And I was just having the best time. My head was clear. I was reading books. I was just picking watermelons. I smoke a joint here and there, not all the time, while you're picking watermelons, listening to tunes, hearing different people talk, listening to people's culture. It was crazy. It was just the best time. And like I say, it'll always have a place in my heart, and I'll always talk about it. You'll hear me talk about it on the podcast forever and more, probably, just because it holds so much to my heart, you know what I mean? And if anyone does think about going to Australia, and I know people from the UK now don't have to do their farm work, but mate, really, if you go and do it, you'll be able to save money. You'll be able to experience what life's like without any civilization, such as no signal on your phone. the amount of communication you do with someone, just speaking face to face, and you just stay away from your phone. You read books. You're amongst literally everything but nothing at the same time. It's it's incredible. It really is. I can't explain how good it is, and the experience that I ended up doing it like 2-3 times, to be honest with you. But yeah, the experience of me doing that was crazy, to be honest with you. It's the first time actually I ever did acid on a farm. And what a place to do it, out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of nature. And that experience for me, like I say I was away from all the drugs and away from everything, but when it got towards the end, the whole farm ended up getting some acid. And when I say the whole farm, there was about 60 people on acid in one day. And it was crazy. Acid, LSD, whatever you want to call it. And I've never felt so happy in my life. I'm not even joking. I've never experienced anything like it. When I first had it, someone came up to me. They was like, "Oh, we're all doing acid. Do you want it? Do you want any?" And I was pissed up at the time. I was like, "Yeah, fuck it. I'll try it." I thought, what better time to try it? I shit you not. We was up for like 24 hours. The whole farm. The whole farm was up for 24 hours. We had a day off work. We were going out. We were partying. We were enjoying ourselves, having a good time. And there was massive fires going on. Like this guy Sasha used to get all the pallets from all the watermelon boxes, and he used to stack them so high, and then we used to set that on fire. That'd be the night, and then we woke up in the morning and we'd just be chilling around the farm. And yeah, it was, I don't know how to explain it. It's not one of them things I can really explain. It's just, yeah, something that holds a lot for me, I guess. And like I said, I came back from the farm, and I was like, well, obviously I finished the farm, and I came home, and it's the first time I've been home in over a year and a half. It's the first time I've been home in over a year and a half. And coming home, I went straight to a festival. And I mean, when I say straight to a festival, I didn't go home and see my mum. I didn't go home and see my dad. I went straight to Boomtown. I was meant to get a flight. I was meant to get a flight from Darwin all the way to Heathrow, and my mates were picking me up from the airport. I got a phone call, and they were like, "Where are you?" I was like, "Oh, I'm still in the hostel." They were like, "Mate, we're picking you up in like 2 hours." I was like, "What you on about?" And they're like, "Seriously, check your flight." I checked my flight. Turns out I missed my flight. I had to pay $1,400 for a new flight, and it took me 40 hours to get back. 40 hours. And I mean, imagine you ain't seen your boys in a year and a half, and you've missed your flight, and you've got to wait 17-hour layover in Singapore airport. It weren't too bad because I got to watch like all the Marvel films, because they've got a cinema in there. But what I'm saying to you is, imagine just 17 hours and you're like, "Oh my God, I could be at a festival right now with all my boys who I ain't seen ages and have a sick time." And I ended up getting there on the Saturday. So I got to the airport at Heathrow and got a taxi straight to Boomtown, and went Boomtown, which probably wasn't the best idea. Sleep deprived, and obviously getting myself all pickled up was not the best plan. But as soon as I got home from Boomtown, the come down hit me. The come down hit me so hard. I was like, "Fuck this! I don't want to be here. This is so shit being here," because the weather was shit per usual in England. And then I ended up going to Leeds Festival straight after. I think it was a week after I went to Leeds Festival. So after I got myself, all my dopamine was all up again. Bam, smashed it all up again. It felt really depressed. It felt really bad. Didn't really spend any quality time with my family. I was just getting fucked up, and with my mates having a summertime madness. And I got a phone call from one of the lads I met at the festival that in Australia, and he was like, "I'm thinking about going to Sri Lanka, and I've always wanted to go to Sri Lanka." And I was like, "Right, when you going?" It was like 2nd of September. I was like, "Oh, let's go." So me and him booked a flight, went straight to Sri Lanka within the week. I was only home for 3 weeks. I was home for 3 weeks, seeing my family. I went to 2 festivals, just felt shit. Wish I spent a little bit longer. Now looking back at it, I really wish I spent a little bit longer at home to have a little bit more quality time with the family in that lot. Now I'm getting older, I realised obviously it means a lot more than what it did. Or not saying what it did back then, but what I realised back then anyway. But yeah, I really thought if I could go back in time, I'd probably stay a little bit longer. But it is what it is. I ended up going to Sri Lanka. Incredible. And I mean incredible. Sri Lanka is my favourite place in the world. Like, hands down, favourite place in the world. If anyone can go there, go. And I mean go. You can, even if you only like someone who likes going on a 2-week holiday, it's perfect. It's untouched. It's still untouched. It's not got none of the commercial stuff around it. The wildlife is crazy. There's elephants everywhere. Elephants everywhere. You can go to some safaris where they've got leopards there. It's just the best experience I've ever done. I've been there twice, and it's just incredible. There's this train from Kandy to Ella, and the scenes you see on that's what I mean. I put that train ride, the Taj Mahal and the Hajang Loop, I put them in my top 3 things to go do. If you can go travel anywhere, go to India, do the Taj, go to Vietnam and do the Hajang Loop, and go to Sri Lanka and do the train ride from Kandy to Ella. It is incredible. And I mean, you cannot beat it. It's the best thing in the world. I mean, the scenery is like nothing else. It's like they've got all the tea plantation and you can see all the tea plantation and see everyone working in there. And then you can go to like the tea factories and see where the tea's made. It's something else. And you can hang out on the edge of the train as well. There's like no health and safety there whatsoever in Sri Lanka, but you can hang out on the edge of the train and obviously watch the world go by. It goes on for like 8 hours. It's the best. It's the best thing ever. But yeah, Sri Lanka's got I'll go back to Sri Lanka 1,000,000%, even just for a holiday. 2 weeks you could travel the whole of Sri Lanka if you wanted to, and that's how good it is, and that's how it's so good, and also you can see so much. It's like it got the surfer vibe to it. It's like constantly chilled out. It's like all along the coast. It's just surfer paradise. It is, honestly. And I don't even surf because I can't, because my shoulder's all mangled up. But something else, man. Really, honestly, it's something else. Definitely recommend going there. It gets me all up in my feelings thinking about bloody Sri Lanka, to be honest with you. But then after that, I went to Philippines. Philippines was a shit show. When I say it was a shit show, I don't remember a fucking thing of it. I don't remember a thing of it for one, and I don't remember anything that went on in Philippines the first time I went there. And as you can probably tell, there's the good, and then there's the good. There's a start, then there's a good, and then there's a bad. Okay, I am currently at the good bit. This is at the good bit, and I'm slowly coming over into the bad bit. And I think. Yeah, I'm slowly coming over into the bad bit. Like going to Philippines, I spent a ton of money, and obviously I was talking about having the money you can spend and not worrying about anything. I obviously came home from Australia. I saved a ton of money on the farm. I saved like £10,000 on the farm in Australia. Then I went traveling, and I had a lot of money to go traveling with. So like I say, the first time I went traveling, I didn't really have enough money to really spend, and I was scrimping and scraping. I promised myself, I was like, I am coming back here and I'm spending as much as I want to spend. I was not worried about a thing when I was out there. I was not worried about anything. I was spending, I was eating where I wanted it, I was buying first class tickets to go places. I didn't care. I was enjoying myself, and that's what I recommend you do. If you do go traveling, do not scrimp and save, because you're only going to save yourself around about a week's worth of traveling time, and I much prefer it if you enjoyed yourself a little bit more. That's my tip for you. Oh my God, needed that drink of water. I am fucking waffling today. But it's all good times. It's all good times. I'm happy I'm doing it. I'm happy I'm reminiscing about the times that I've had. But when I was out in Philippines, I met this guy. So when I was out in Sri Lanka, I met this guy called Brad. And he was like, oh, I'm going Philippines. I spent like 10 days with him in Sri Lanka. I was like, oh, I'm going too. We were going around about the same time. Didn't change any details with him. Didn't share with my Facebook, Instagram. Didn't exchange numbers. And I went to this place in Philippines, this hostel. It's literally on the beach in the middle of nowhere. And I went there and I'm literally having a drink at the top on the balcony. And I literally see him down on the beach. I'm like, yo, Brad. And he's like, yes, what's happening? And from that moment on, we literally spent the whole of the time in Philippines with each other and got fucked up. And I mean, proper mangled up. From sunrise to sunset, we were just drinking non-stop, having the best time. We were staying in all the Mad Monkeys. If you've travelled anywhere around Asia, you know about the Mad Monkeys. So that's where we ended up staying, in all them Mad Monkeys. They're just party hostels. I loved it so much, I ended up getting myself a job in Philippines, working in one of the hostels. I was like, right, I want to live this life. I want to do this life for a little bit. Still young, only 22 years old. 22, 23? 23 years old. I was like, right, I'm going to live it up, enjoy myself while I'm on these nice beaches, and obviously meet new people all the time. And that's what I did. I worked in the one in the Philippines for about 2 weeks. And then there was an opening up in Bali on Gili T again. So I flew over to Bali, flew over to Gili T, and I had a job there, and I worked there for a few months. And yeah, after a long time of drinking, I'm telling you, it does take a toll on your mental health. Towards the end of that Bali trip, towards the end of this trip out in Asia, my head was taking a battering. Like, I was depressed. Like, I was depressed off the alcohol, but not only was I depressed off the alcohol, I was just depressed in the way that I was by myself. I didn't have no one around me. I was just like, everyone I was meeting was just come and going. So I really needed that stable life again. Do you know what I mean? And that's when I ended up going to back to Australia. And that time in Australia, just coming up, what I'm about to talk about, was the craziest time of my life. And obviously, I just spoke about, obviously, the start, the good, and then the bad. This crazy summer I had in Australia changed my life completely. And this is where things started getting so good. What goes up must come down. And that's what kind of peaked and happened in my life. But I'm not going to talk about that, because I feel like this podcast, I've talked about all the good times that I've had traveling and enjoying myself and experience things. And I feel like this next one that I'm going to go into is going to be still going to be some good, but it's going to be tipping over to going into the bad. And I know, obviously, I feel like, listen, I understand that taking drugs and going out and doing all that stuff is bad, and drinking is bad, but I've had so many good times on good memories, and I don't want to put them and shine them in a bad light, because they have been good times and I've had good memories. But like I say, there does come a point and a stage, and what I'm going to talk about in the next podcast, that you need to realise when to stop and when to obviously rein it in a little bit. But yeah, I'll get into that on the next podcast. If you've not already, like, comment, and subscribe. Share this if you can. I mean, the more people that watch it, the more better. If you like it, if you've got any feedback or anything, be sure to drop me a message. Nothing else really to say other than let's go.